Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Several hundred people took part in a Solidarity with Belarus march in Warsaw in support of the country's civil rights protesters. Thousands of Belarusians fled to Poland after dictator Alexander Lukashenko falsified the results of a presidential election and violently quelled countrywide protests. Police brutality, mass arrests and repression against Lukashenko's opponents are daily features of life in this country. So far, over 36,000 people have been arrested, 610 people are behind bars as political prisoners, 1,000 people are detained without trial, and over 10 have died in prison. Svitlana Tikhanouskaya, the Democratic opposition candidate in last year's presidential elections in Belarus, said that the struggle of this nation is a reminder that the fight for freedom never ends.
Now when a regime is not ready to change their behavior, I think that a new wave of sanction measures have to be imposed on the regime because they don't understand other language. And looking back into our history, only sanctions just succeeded to change behavior of Lukashenko. We understand that sanctions are not silver bullet, but they will help to stop repressions, to release political prisoners. We are sure in this, but I have to underline that sanctions should be joint. Sanctions should be imposed by all the democratic countries, the USA, UK, Canada, European Union and others. Only in this joint position sanctions will be powerful.
In contrast, Alexander Lukashenko said at a press conference today that he won the election fairly and was defending the country against a violent rebellion. Considering that today is August the 9th and anticipating journalists' interest, I just remind all of you, we prepared for the election and had the election with full publicity and democratization of public life. The only difference is that some people were preparing for a fair election while others were calling to destroy authority, for a coup d'etat. The Belarusian president also stated that athlete Svitlana Tikhanouskaya did not act independently but was manipulated. Tikhanouskaya was banned from the Olympics after she criticized the coaching staff on the internet, and the Belarusian authorities tried to forcibly deport her to Belarus. The sprinter refused to return to Belarus and appealed for help. The first to come forward were the Polish authorities. In Tokyo, she received a Polish humanitarian visa, and on the 4th of August she flew to Warsaw, where she intends to continue her career. She wouldn't have done it herself if she had not been manipulated. It was from Japan, from Tokyo, that she contacted her buddies in Poland, and they told her, literally, when you come to the airport, run to the Japanese police officer and shout that those two who dropped you off at the airport are KGB agents. There was not a single special service agent in Japan. We don't do such things. Knowing of her white-red-white past, we still included her in the team. We knew her results. Do you know why we included her in the team? The IOC. They pushed and recommended us. We included 7 of those like her. They weren't even seen at the Olympics. They shouldn't have been included. In recent weeks, the Belarusian regime has taken steps to tighten regulations against protesters. We want to help Belarusian democratic circles to prepare for the seizure of power, that is, to create cadres for a new democratic Belarus. This is, of course, it is a gigantic government program, the Kalinowski Scholarship. Air traffic to and from Belarus is suspended after journalist and co-founder of the Belarusian portal, Niechta, was captured while flying from Athens to Vilnius. Lukashenko's air traffic control forced his plane to land in Minsk. The story is described today in the book Partisans, Journalists in Lukashenko's Crosshair, which was published today. Many of our fellow journalists who report on what is happening in Belarus are behind bars. Many have fled abroad. The book is Arleta Bojka's idea, a journalist who has been dealing with Eastern affairs for years. The 20 reportages describe the story of Szczepian Pokula, Andrzej Poczobut, Katsiarina Andrzejeva and Daria Chultsova. Things are worse in Belarus than they were a year ago. It is true, at the time we saw police brutality and the death toll from demonstrations. But what is happening now, the repression, the torture, is happening in secret. I wrote about Boris Harecki. He is not a front-page journalist, but a man who rushes to help. He reports on political trials on Facebook, and he has also been detained himself. Warsaw University has launched a language and culture course to help Belarusian students adapt to living, studying and working in Poland. The country provides help to Belarusian students fleeing from the Lukashenko regime. 8,000 kilometres of new roads will be built in Poland by 2030, so promised Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, while opening a new section of the S61 Via Baltica road that connects central Poland with Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia.
I think the whole route will be completed within 2, maybe 2.5 years. This will allow distant villages to cross and connect. It will ensure safety and protect the environment because such roads are safer, and cars driving at a constant pace consume significantly less fuel.
More works of art that were confiscated or lost as a result of wartime activities have been donated to the collections of the National Museum in Wrocław. After almost 80 years, 2 watercolours by Józef Kalta, a self-portrait and an image of his wife Emilia Kalta, have returned to the capital of Lower Silesia. Before the war, the works are in the collection of the Silesian Museum of Artistic Industry and Antiquities.
2 more works of art recovered from Poland from pre-war collections are in Wrocław. According to international law, such works of art, which were on Polish territory after 1945, belong to national collections.
Te dzieła sztuki, które znajdowały się na terenie Polski po 1945 roku.
In recent years we have recovered works of art of great value. This pair of portraits is very precious to us because we are looking into the eyes of 2 Wrocław artists, the painter Józef Kalta and his wife Emilia Kalta. It is rare to look into the faces of artists from that time.
Sergei Kovalev, a Soviet-era Russian dissident and human rights activist, has died at the age of 91. Kovalev was Russia's first human rights ombudsman. He was critical of the power politics of Presidents Boris Yeltsin and Vladimir Putin.
Kovalev was a trailblazing Soviet dissident who was sent to a prison camp for his human rights campaigning and clashed with Boris Yeltsin and Vladimir Putin over Russia's democratic backsliding. Sergei Kovalev, a chronicler of Soviet abuses of power, co-founded the Soviet Union's first public, independent human rights group in 1969 and later served 7 years in the notorious Perm 36 camp, returning to Moscow in 1986 only by order of Mikhail Gorbachev. After the fall of the Soviet Union, he became Russia's first human rights commissioner, excoriated Yeltsin for the carpet bombing of Grozny during the First Chechen War, and later found himself in opposition to Putin. 31 years ago, Kovalev helped found Memorial, Russia's oldest human rights organization. Since 2013, Memorial has been considered a foreign agent in Putin's Russia.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.